All right, this is I'm Nick Finelli, and I'm going to be talking today a little bit about Google Play for Education and the latest announcements from Google on the program pretty much ending and having us with devices that will eventually no longer be supported, although we're grandfathered in right now. And those people who have Google Play for Education can still use them with your existing devices. So hopefully we'll get a discussion started about this, and waiting for some people to come in. If we don't get a couple people in here, I have a couple ideas and some things that I think educators should try, and also wanted to post some kind of some design thinking on how we're going to go about doing this, because I think if we crowdsource these ideas, we're going to be able to help each other and find a solution that'll work for each one of us individually and in our schools. So I'm just going to put it on mute for a second here and hold for about 1 minute, and then I'll come back and we'll wait for people to join, and I'll come back and get going. And then anybody who wants to join in, please use the link that I sent, and I'll post it again, and we'll be able to all get in here. Should be right on the event page. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully if you went to the event page, you'll see on the left side, it says join me now, and it has the Hangout, has the URL, so you can come on and join. Of course, it's going to be better the more discussion that we have instead of me sharing. But that said, I am going to talk about the first thing is that your devices have your when I said you were grandfathered in, your devices will have a end of day. I guess that's what it's called. It's kind of like an end of resource day or end of support day. And this is the same thing with the Chromebooks themselves also. I do have some Chromebooks that are actually past the end of support day, and they are still working and they are still able to be managed. So I don't know. Not sure how that happens or whatever, but as far as I think the support from Google, they're not in there. All right, looks like we have Darcy in. Thanks, Darcy, coming in here. So what I was going to, first of all, is take you to the support page so you can see your devices. If anybody got one of the latest Android pilots that was out there offered by lots of companies, those devices look like they will not be supported after 2018. I believe it's August, but we'll have to double check on that. While I find that, I'm going to go into some other things. The first thing I wanted to do was talk about a solution, because, okay, so you're going to use these devices and you're going to manage them the same way you were. Google Play still works for those devices. If you plan on adding new devices, you're going to have a different way of doing that, because the licenses will not be added. March 14th was the last day for that. So one of my options, and one of the things I've been looking at, is Meraki. And I'm not by far a mobile MDM expert, but I like Meraki. I've been using it just because it has multiple devices, so you can control lots of different devices. So let me share my screen so you can see that, and we'll talk about it. All right. So here's Meraki. It's the systems manager is the one that I'm referring to here. And systems manager is nice because you can have iOS, you can have Windows devices, Android, OS X. You can control all of these. It even says Chrome, although you have some limited things with your Chrome. But to focus on the Android, simply you install the Android app. It's called System Manager. It's by Meraki. And this is just a link to that app. And then you have a special code to enroll that device. Okay, and then once you enroll the device itself, then the device can be, I guess the best way to say it is encrypted. And so when the device is encrypted, it allows this management to happen much easier. And so you enroll the device itself, and then you can go to the actual clients. And I have just one here that I did for a test. And you can see the different devices that I have on here. I have an iPad, I have some other Android devices, but this one right here, you can see this is active. It's connected now. You can see if there's a user on there, it has an address, it has SSID, how much disk has been used, and it has a serial number. So all great for tracking. If I actually click on it, it has any tags that I have, any blockage level that I have. I can check in on the status of it online. I can see it's located, where it's located, so forth. I can also lock the device, clear passcodes, and erase devices. A lot of the same things, and that's under the security. If I need to send a note to that device, maybe a particular user or something like that, I could actually do that. It would send a note. And then it also has the beacon, which will locate the device with an alarm. So if you can't find it. Then underneath, you have just your managed settings. So when you enroll the device, it gives it a managed setting. It shows that it's managed. And if it's not, then you can reinstall it. And then underneath, I just started adding some apps. So these are just a couple apps that I added. So you can see the Meraki SM is added. And I just added a Mirror app today, and Star Wars, and March Madness, just to kind of play around. But you can see they're added. And then it also shows you an event log. So it shows you whether things were successfully installed or not. So, and the reason I did the Mirror app was to try to show you what the device looked like with the restrictions in the Meraki management on there. To add particular apps, I'm going to go to System Manager and go to Apps. And you can just, it'll come up soon, but you can actually just click on Add New on the right. And if you want to add iOS apps, they're there, and then Android apps. And then type the term. So if you want to add something like AirPod, click on search, and it'll find it. And then if it's free, it's just a simple ad. If it's a cost ad, I don't know if it actually shows up here. I haven't tried an ad that, an app that you had to pay for. And so now it says, okay, these devices that have this client on there will have EarPod added to it. And so I can choose devices with certain tags. So if I want to tag something as a device for a kindergarten classroom and I don't want them to have an EarPod, well, then that way I can control which devices get specific apps. So this being said, I just wanted to show you this is kind of the solution that I was kind of looking for. These are still located in Google Play Store. So even past the time, you'll be able to see that. Let me go back here and see if I can share this screen there. So I'm going to turn on my device. And so I have a device here. And I'm going to try to mirror it. I sent the mirroring app, and hopefully it'll work. But sometimes those apps in particular have some trickiness involved. So let's see if I can find it. All right, on my screen, I have to open up what is called the Allcast receiver in order for the Mirror app to work to show. So let me bring that up. I'm going to show you this screen just to show you, but it's not working the way I I wanted it to. But here's what the all-cast receiver would do. So you can see on there, on the screen, it says, unfortunately, Mirror has stopped, but the Mirror app, when it does work, you are able to control and look at and show the screen of your Android. Now, there are other ones out there, Mobizen and things like that, but this is the one I just installed. But you'll see at the top, if you look very carefully, there's a little circle on top of the app. All the apps that were added, so up here in this top part, all those apps that are added have a circle with a kind of a lockbox. Those are the apps that were added by the Meraki system. So those are the ones that are actually controlled. I do have other apps on here, but those are the ones that are controlled by the Meraki Systems Manager. So just to show you that that's what it does. And even the system settings itself can also be controlled, so the students can't get into the settings themselves. All right, so let me go back out of this. And so that was just a kind of a sample. Maybe a better way to do it is also just to hold it up to the screen. And now we got a little bit of play action here. And so you can see I have other apps on here, but the ones that have that particular part are managed there. Secondly, I want to kind of, I talked earlier, I alluded earlier about crowdsourcing. And so what I did is I created a Google Drawing. I really like to use Google Drawings for a lot of just brainstorming and idea stuff, because you can add and do so many things and get multiple people on, and works really well. So I've created a Google Play for Education MDM design, because really you guys are going to be the ones that are going to tell us and tell each other and share with everybody what it is that you want out of an MDM. And by knowing this, not only other people that hear this, but by sharing ideas, I think we'll be able to see what it is that we want and create it. So here's the actual drawing, and I'll put it in the post of this event, so you can see it at the bottom as a link. But it's right now it's able to be shared and edited. So just to kind of focus on some of the things that I think are important is to first understand what are our challenges now that we don't have this. Now that we don't have Google Play for Education, maybe people can list, okay, obvious challenges when we get new devices. How do we manage those versus the other ones? Secondly, what do we do once the devices are done? There's lots of ideas. I know lots of people, do many different things with their Chromebooks, with their other devices. Once they're no longer supported, they allow the students to purchase them if it's a lease type program, or they give them to teachers, or they designate them for special ed or areas that they don't normally have those type of devices, and allow them to have more and have more limited control over those. So first of all, we need to understand what it is, what challenges, and every district's going to have different challenges. So hopefully everybody will start adding their own here, because if we look at everybody's challenges and what things they need, that will help us go to the next step to define, okay, well, what's the problem? If these are the challenges, what are the problems? And this is the clear design thinking here. And so I've just organized it this way. So then I just put an example of problem. How can a school control content students use? Okay, that's one of the reasons most of you guys got the devices, so multiple users to get on and you could control what they have. So from the challenges, we'll define some problems and then see what solutions people are already doing. So hopefully people will add solutions they've done, maybe just a blurb of a link, maybe some sort of thing that they're doing and it links to something else that shows us, but some way for us to see out there what people are doing. And then after we see out there what's doing, maybe knowing all this, we probably have some people in this world, in this network, that could look around and say, okay, these are all the problems. These are all the solutions we found, but there isn't something that's just right for us to do this. So what would be ideal? And why not design it? Why not design it and program something? I'm sure we could find people that could do it, even if we don't have the actual people that can make all this. All of this stuff can be useful, and we could find someone make the best of this. And the last thing is to test them out. Have a couple schools test them out in different situations and test what we designed. And then again, redo this. But I think this would be a good start, and it would help a lot of people if we use this as a source. So let me shorten this and copy it, and I'll go back to our page here, and I'm just going to post it in the share section. So this is our Google Play for Education and then design page for sharing. All right, so I've added that there. Now, Darcy, I have you in here, and I see you're muted. Do you have any comments or something? You can unmute yourself if you want, or if you have the capability. You might not. Depends on what device you're on. Oh, okay. No microphone. That's fine. All right. Well, not a problem. Again, I was hoping the people who are watching can jump on. There should be a link to the Hangout. Again, Hangouts are great, but when we get more people on here talking, I think the conversation is really what we need. That's why we teach. That's why we learn from people. We're social beings, and this would help us more. So what I'm going to do is go to the viewer's message, and I'm going to send you all a message to jump on, and this will have the link. So if anybody, you guys do not get it somewhere else, you can get it here. So I just, all right, so that message should be sent to your mail for those people who are watching and listening. So that's really where I wanted to start. I was hoping that more people would be able to come and share what they're doing. I do see questions, and I'm sorry, I forgot to have the question app open. So let me do that. Thanks, Darcy, for writing in there. All right. So you're just piloting the Android tablets this year. So seeing the management program is disappointing, but Meraki SM seems like a good fix. Yeah, that's what I've found out there. And the Meraki, the system manager, is a free option. I just signed up for a new account the other day and didn't have a problem getting in. So that I should also list that under our Hangout as an option. But yeah, it is disappointing. It caught me off guard just as much as anybody else. And I will say something about Google is that they do, not necessarily pull the plug on things, but when things, they have different people doing stuff, and they don't necessarily have they don't forecast or tell everybody well in advance, hey, we're going to stop this. So, I mean, I found out the same day, probably some other Googlers found out and things like that. So that kind of stuff is, it's like if you wish down the road, you knew that, but then, maybe they just made that decision. I see your, the Meraki, yes, as far as the Meraki, you can download that right now. I probably wouldn't do the Meraki right away, is because the beauty of the tablets and the program you have right now with the management console is that you can control all this stuff, and it's still in there, so you can control settings, and then the teachers have access to the Google Play for Education store, and they can control. So that is still open. So even like right now, I'm going to go to play.google edu world. Let me share that with you guys. All right, so still in the Google Play world, which you see at EDU world, you still have Android apps, you still have Chrome apps, and those are still available. So if you still have Chromebooks, you can still go here and do that. And then for a teacher, just to jump in and find a particular app they like and put it on here. Say they don't have Google Earth. So they just go and install. I mean, to me, this is much easier. No administrator has to really get involved. To me, I think that's going to be a weakness or something that we're going to find that we need to have happen is we need to have teacher control. That was one of the benefits of this program was being able to have teacher control over apps and adding things like that to specific accounts and specific student accounts. So let's do this to the middle school kids. All right, and so they'll all have Google Earth just by typing in that group name, and their devices in a couple minutes will have Google Earth, for example. So that's one of the things. Darcy, I do agree with you, what you were saying. Yes, so to wait on the Meraki, what I might do is take a tablet or two out and just try it side by side and try doing the same things. To me, that's the best way is, we were talking about design thinking, is try that scenario first. Okay, what do I have currently? What do I want to have? What are my solutions right now? And then mirror them side by side and see, okay, what does Meraki do? What does Google Play do? What is going to happen later? The obvious thing is these devices, you're probably going to get new devices when they expire anyway. So the existing devices are probably, are going to be not obsolete, but they're just not going to be powerful, compared to what's going to be created in the next 2 years as far as tablets and any type of technology. Even the Chromebooks are getting all touchscreen, and there's the ability right now to make Android apps show up on your Chromebook and be able to touch them. So there's lots of that ability, and so I think that's more of where it's going. So I don't know if many schools will still continue to get Android tablets themselves. I think the Chromebook is probably going to be. This is just my opinion, not a Google opinion, but I think the Chromebooks are probably just going to be the standard, and the ones that are going to be touchscreen, be able to be transformable and foldable and things like that. They're going to be able to run these Android apps. So I don't know if you're really losing much. Okay, so I'm going to stop because there's a question. So the question is, how do you make the apps work on the Chromebook? Our librarian has touchscreen and they can't get apps on it. I know it's not I mentioned it, but there's I'll have to dig for it, but there's a particular APK, which is basically a program that you can download, and the program downloaded onto your Chromebook, it actually will run the particular Android apps. I have to find that. I don't have it currently in front of me, but I will definitely post it on the event page because I know that's something people do. I don't know if every single app would work that way, Android apps, but it does work for some. You could even search, which is interesting. Go ahead and do a search and say run Android apps on Chromebook, and you'll see a number of people having different ways of doing it. But there's one in particular that I like that I've used before that works. So that kind of answers that question. And still, going back to the Google Play question, you can control Chromebook apps still. That's not going away. Just the ability to manage the tablets and have the Google Play Store for newer tablets bought after March 15th. That's where you won't have the ability. Darcy, do you have any more questions? I appreciate you typing in stuff, and I'm trying to read it and say it out loud since everybody's not necessarily people who view this won't see those questions. Okay, good. Let me check. Yeah, checking the last part on the questions to see if anybody in the actual neighborhood got these. Neighborhood, I call it a neighborhood, it's really the community, but yeah, see if anybody got those. All right, nobody put anything on the question app, So I'm going to double check here. All right. Well, that's probably going to be it for today. If people see this and they want to share it, that's perfectly fine. Hopefully, we'll have more discussions, more conversations, and we'll add to this event thread of ideas. And please, if you're on here watching, share the document that I put out there as far as the Google Drawing document, because I think that will help us in the long run decide what is going to be best and see if we can actually design something that's going to work for everybody. So that's pretty much it. Thanks, Darcy, for coming in, and I will talk to you guys later. Thanks. Bye.